On the CPU of the S7 PLCs, there are a series of ports with which we can connect one PLC to another PLC or any other automation facility of the site. The first port that's on all the 300 and 400 CPUs is the MPI port. Now, what are we going to do with this port? Most of the time, we use this port when we want to transfer an existing program on a computer to the PLC. In order to do so, we need to use a connection called PC adapter. PC adapter is a two-way connector, which means that it has two connectors on itself. From one end, it has a USB connector that gets connected to the USB port of the computer, and on the other end, it gets connected to the MPI port on the CPU. Therefore, by means of the PC adapter and MPI port on the CPU, we can transfer the programs that are written on the computer to the CPU module on the PLC. However, we can use the MPI port in order to make an MPI network as well. For instance, in here, as you may see, our CPU has two ports, and from these two ports, the left port is an MPI port. Now, how do we use this port? By using this MPI port, we have connected the CPU to the installed HMI on the panel door. By doing so, the data of the system that is under control gets transferred from the CPU to this HMI, and it gets displayed on it, and hence the technical technicians or the operator can recognize what's happening in this process through this monitor, and therefore can read different things, such as temperature or pressure of different parts. So what we have here right now is a small sample of an MPI network. A point to consider here is to note that we have used an RS-485 cable in this MPI network. So keep this in the background of your mind, that RS-485 cable does not solely belong to Profibus DP network, whereas we can use it in the MPI network as well. Okay, so by means of this MPI port that is located on the CPU, we can do two things. We can connect the computer to the PLC through this port and download our program on it, or we can connect the CPU to other automation facilities, such as an HMI, and create an MPI network. The second port that's located on some of the S7 PLCs is a DP port. Whenever we have this port on the CPU, we can use the PLC in the Profibus DP network. This means that whenever this port is on our CPU, the CPU is capable of connecting to other automation facilities in the Profibus DP network and can exchange data. Profibus DP network is some sort of an industrial network through which we can connect a series of automation facilities together by means of an RS-485 cable. For example, in here, our CPU has a DP port in addition to the MPI port, and so, as you can see, we have connected the CPU to an interface module on the second rack via this DP port and a Profibus DP cable. Therefore, in here, a Profibus DP network has been used in order to connect the CPU to another automation facility, which is essentially an IM. Another port that exists on some other S7 CPUs is PTP port. This port is used in Modbus networks. For instance, if we have this port on our CPU, we can connect that directly to a printer or even a barcode reader. So, PTP port is used in a Modbus network. Finally, the last port which could possibly exist on S7 CPUs is the Profinet port or the Ethernet port. The presence of this port on the CPU is an indicator that our CPU can be used in a Profinet network, meaning that by having this port, it can connect to other automation facilities in the Profinet network. This port is one of the common ports that can also be seen on other automation facilities. For example, as you can see, On this Siemens HMI panel that we have in here, a Profinet port can be seen. This port is also on so many laptops. For instance, in here, in order to transfer the data from the laptop to the HMI panel, we have connected the laptop to the HMI panel through Profinet port, also known as Ethernet. In fact, here, we are transferring the data by means of a Profinet network. Okay, so in general, we could potentially have 4 different ports on the CPU of the S7 PLCs. The first port is the MPI port, which we said is on all S7 300 and 400 CPUs, and it's used for MPI network. DP port is used for Profibus DP network. PTP port is used for Modbus network, and is also used for connecting to devices like printers and barcode readers. And PN port is also used in Profinet network.